Today we'll be talking to the Finnish Association President, Kristiina Paju, who is the president of the Finnish Federation of Families with Children, or LAPE. It's the national association that acts as the guardians of the interest of families with children and a channel for influencing them. Please welcome Kristiina. Hello.
Hello. Very glad to be here today and to discuss.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Perfect. So I just wanted to start the interview by asking you to sort of explain a little bit about LAPE and any background that you might want to share, such as when LAPE was founded and what have been its main achievements since then.
Yes, so LAPE is actually celebrating its 25th anniversary year this year. So LAPE has quite a history. And the main focus of LAPE has been to make the care of parents who have been taking care of their children at home, to take their kind of, how can I explain it, the best possible way, to be the safekeeper for their benefits and their advocacy for their role in the society of these women or men as well, who have been taking care of their children at home. So that has been the primal focus of LAPE from the early 2000s, when the government had been planning to do cuts of the social benefits that would have directly impacted the income of these families who were taking care of the children at home. But since then, LAPE has evolved, and we have kind of taken under our wing all different kinds of families with children, not only those who are taking care of their children at home, but also from a broader perspective, to kind of be the whistleblower in a sense as well, to highlight the issues that families faced in their everyday life in Finland, and to communicate these issues or shortcomings or bottlenecks to the decision makers in the government and in the city governments as well as the parliament.
Perfect. So it sounds like LAPE does a lot of work. Obviously, as you mentioned, you have diversified sort of the work that you do with families with children, and obviously ELFAC being the Association of Large Families. What sort of motivated LAPE's decision to join ELFAC recently?
Well, because first of all, I have 4 children myself. We consider ourselves to be a large family in this household. And the reason why I joined LAPE in the first place back in 2020 was that I was expecting my 4th kid. And I thought that, is there a association who was actually standing up for the rights and the societal status of the large families in Finland? And LAPE was the one that caught my eye, because I was almost starting a new one. I thought that I would start a foundation or an organization, if there wasn't any, who would be representing the large families in Finland. But then we had the chance to meet with LAPE's people, the chairwoman at the time, and the board members, and they're all very welcoming, very, very lovely people. And I joined in back in 2020 and thought that, and my journey has then progressed from there, from being a secretary in the board to becoming a chairperson in 2023. So here I am in the same position. And because large families have always been a core theme in LAPE's work in one way or another. And since they have had this 3+ theme, meaning a 3+ families who have more than 3 or more than 3 children, that their specific or special status among the families should be addressed more as well. And that is why we decided that we would like to create a large family card system like they have in Estonia. I'm originally from Estonia myself, So and I'm also from a large family myself, so I have personal connections to why large families are important to me and how this connects to LAPE's work as well, because I've seen the benefits from Estonia, for example, where there is a very active organization for large families and they have implemented a card system. And yeah, I would like to see that happen, that change that happened this in Estonia to happen in Finland as well.
Okay. Speaking of obviously the few things that LAPE has been doing that you encourage you to join, what are some key services and support that your association provides to large families overall in Finland?
Well, our resources are very limited at the time, but we try to act as the safeguard role of the advocacy role to really bring these issues and to keep the needs of the large families in the political discussions and in the desk of the parliament members, for example. So we try to highlight the improvements that large families would need in Finland. And we do not have anything more concrete than that. We work through writing opinion pieces by sending our programs and manifestos to parliament members and public in Finland. So that's how we work currently. But of course, we have been planning and we have highlighted the need for the family card. So we would like to activate the work towards creating one to get collaborators and partners and businesses involved in order to really make something concrete out of it.
I know you just mentioned the fact that you've been communicating with the local government and things like that. I wanted to ask you, I know Finland has been experiencing sort of declining birth rates and demographic changes. How would you, especially in recent years, how would you say this is affecting your work and the priorities of LAPE?
Well, our work definitely has gotten in some ways more difficult because of all these changes that have been happening starting from the COVID year of 2020. So there have been a lot of crises, a lot of modifications that governments have had to do, especially here in Finland. The Finnish government has had to do a lot of cuts to the social welfare. And unfortunately, these cuts have come at the most unfortunate of times when the society hasn't really overcome the previous crises that have been hitting us. So that all in all has accumulated into a situation where we need that our work is more important than maybe it's ever been, to be honest, that we have to be more active. But at the same time, we can see that people are rather passive if in terms of becoming members of society, that kind of organization, NGOs, or supporting NGOs, even though we can see that there is a need, that people are facing financial struggles right now, especially those with more than 3 children. Those families are under the risk of poverty in Finland, or perceived poverty, because we are often discussing, like in Finland, we don't have the real poverty, but like the perceived, wait, excuse my terms, I didn't really check beforehand how to express that. But at the same time, we can see that families are really struggling right now because the unemployment rate is the highest in the European Union, currently with 10.4, the recent numbers. And it's especially hitting hard the people who have families and children to take care of, especially since the cuts have been done to unemployment benefits. The government has removed the bonus that unemployed family people got from their children. They did it last year or a year before, actually. So yeah, these are significant real life examples that are affecting how people are dealing with the situation, and why our work is more important than ever, really, to be fair. That we have to highlight the issues, we have to highlight the experiences that people are facing, whether it is the family with just one child who are also struggling, like single parents, even if they have one child to take care of. But then we have the other, like the single parents, and then the large families are in the risk group that really have to be worked with in these turbulent times.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of contributors to this issue. In your opinion, what are some ways you think that Finland, but in general, we can better support and engage young parents and those considering having young families?
I think in Finland and overall, we can definitely contribute by adding positive ways of speaking of families and having children and starting a family in the first place. Because, well, at least over here in Finland, the tone of voice, if you could say so, has not always been that positive. Because there are like opposing sides. In some ways, you can see that families are seen as a positive force, positive thing, and in that sense, people are very strongly protecting the traditional values, which means that having a family is one of them. But at the same time, there is the high individualism, which contributes to that negative side of having children, how it affects your personal time, free time, how it affects, like, you can't travel, you can't go to school, you have to have job before you have start a family, and that when you have these things, because there have been those lists that you have to have a permanent job, you have to have a home, you have to have a certain income level, and then you can start having a family, which in real life terms it's not possible anymore, because we live in such turbulent times. You can't just plan ahead like I have to achieve all these things on my list, and then it might be just too late to even start a family. So these are the realities that in order to achieve change, we need to have that positive way of speaking of families, of parents, of children, and of the positive sides of having a family and raising kids. So I think that's something that LAPE can definitely contribute to, is to highlight how we should appreciate our families, where the new generations are being raised in.
Definitely. I think this is the rhetoric that we see all across Europe, especially I've been seeing through my work with LFAC that it is almost a European mentality to not necessarily have a disdain for large families, but almost just the rhetoric of, having to prioritize other things like work and whatnot. So obviously speaking of the broader European network, what would you like to learn from the other associations at LFAC, or what would you like to or hoping to gain as LAPE from membership in ELFAC?
I think the international perspectives, how things are done, what are the concrete solutions that other countries have implemented regarding the large families, and how to support large families better. I think these are the key things that I would like to kind of learn from member organizations who belong to ELFAC and from ELFAC in general. Because from my point of view, where I stand currently, when I follow the political discourse in Finland, and Finnish government seems to be looking only towards the Nordic countries, like how other Nordic countries are doing it, like Norway or Denmark, and they try to kind of modify those solutions and try to fit them into the Finnish context. But at the same time, they are kind of discarding all the other other possible solutions that other countries around Europe have implemented. So I think that is the main goal that I would love to get out from the membership of being a part of LFAC, is to really diversify the way we see these different kinds of solutions, and if there are things that we can actually apply over here as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really important perspective. I never really considered that, but it's definitely obvious that sort of obviously the European Union and Europe overall is very connected, but the Nordic countries and all the different countries are usually grouped into separate sections of what they align with on policy. So I think that's definitely a great benefit of LFAC, that our members come from so many different parts of Europe. So those are all the questions I have for you. If there's anything else you'd like to share, you're more than welcome to, but I really appreciated talking to you today.
Well, since we are celebrating the 25th anniversary year as LAPE, as this organization, then I guess we have communicated to ELFAC as well that we have been working on our strategy this year during the spring, and we have finally highlighted more clearly in the strategy as well the need to bring the needs, both economic needs, support for large families, but as well as the social well-being support things for large families more concretely into LAPE's strategy. And we are communicating that more specifically to the parliament as well. We will have the parliamentary elections next year, so we are preparing the manifesto from LAPE's side as well in order to communicate this to the political parties, to share our view of how we see things could be possibly improved, especially from the top 3 spearheads, which one of them is the 3+ families, the large families in our context. So we will continue working with large families and
Well, we definitely. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing that. I hope you guys keep up the great work. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much for inviting.